Welcome to We Can Code It Career Services. In this session, we're going to talk about your elevator pitch, why it's important, and how to do it successfully. Let's get started. So, what is an elevator pitch? An elevator pitch is your opportunity to sell yourself effectively in a limited amount of time. Imagine you found yourself in an elevator with the CEO of your dream company or the manager of a department you really want to work in. What would you say so that they would remember you? Your goal is to get the most important information about yourself delivered to them in a short period of time in a way that will not only see you in the best light, but also remember you after they're no longer in your presence. When we're looking at the amount of time that you would be spending on this elevator pitch, the reason it's referred to as an elevator pitch is because you're thinking about the ride to the floor that you're traveling to. So if you're starting on the first floor, how much time would it really take you to get to floor 5? You want to ensure that you have a pitch ready in order to use that time wisely because it won't be a lot. We've put together a couple of discussion questions to get you started thinking in this direction. The first one is, how have you made positive first impressions in the past or had others make positive first impressions on you? The second discussion question is, how could the opportunity to briefly meet someone who could be influential in your career be a negative experience? How can you avoid this? These are great opportunities for you to discuss with your cohort on Slack as well as in person. Let's jump straight into the how-to steps. We've put together a blueprint to help guide you through the process of creating your elevator pitch. Now, there is not only one way to do an elevator pitch, and you will also need several different versions of your elevator pitch to best fit the situation you're in. For example, in some scenarios, you may need to use your elevator pitch during a formal interview. In other times, you literally could be in an elevator in a very informal setting and need to be able to pull it out. So keep that in mind as you begin to craft it. The first part of your elevator pitch is, who are you professionally? So what you're really going to want to focus on is where you are right now. So start with your name. That's really important. Next is your title. And then the last piece is where you're contributing. When you're thinking about who you are professionally in this moment in time, remember that you are in the process of rebranding yourself as a software developer or a person within the tech community. So keeping that in mind, you may want to use a title that best displays where you want to go and where you're starting on this journey in boot camp versus where you're coming from. In the next section, you're going to talk about where you've been and what you've done. This would include your previous professional experiences. You want to focus on ways in which you've brought value or had accomplishments. Your value should be unique, something that makes you stand out, something that will help whoever you're speaking to remember you afterwards. Your last piece is, as someone transitioning in tech and in your career, it's really important that you do touch on your motivation for doing boot camp and wanting to make this transition to tech. This piece will help you tie together your past with your present as well as where you want to go in the future. In the next section, you're going to talk about what's next. So as a boot camp student, you do have specific goals. Those goals are graduating from boot camp, and in the vast majority of scenarios, that would be getting a job at the end of it. Think about what your goal is. You also want to talk about what you would like to achieve next. You also want to talk about what you would like to achieve next. This could include building an application that helps a nonprofit. It could be getting your foot in the door at your dream organization. It could be diving deeper into certain technical tools. Use this also as an opportunity to convey your passions as well as your personality. So if you're someone who's really passionate about health disparities, for example, perhaps you're talking about ways in which you would like to use your technology skills, your development skills as a way to help solve some of the problems within public health. The last section includes general tips that you should be considering throughout your entire elevator pitch. The first one being eye contact. Eye contact is really important for you in creating that connection to the person you're speaking with. You also want to ensure that you're speaking with energy, excitement, things that convey your passion for what you're doing and where you want to go. And the last is, you want to aim for about 20 seconds. If you do some research online, you'll find a few schools of thought about how long your elevator pitch should be. At We Can Code It, we want you to aim for about 20 seconds and of course adjusting to your scenario. There are a few things we also want to avoid while creating our elevator pitch and using it. The first is coming across unprepared. This one's pretty self-explanatory. The reason that we have this lesson is to help you with this bullet point so that no matter what the situation is, no matter when it comes up, you're always prepared to show yourself in the best light. The next is negativity. We understand that you may not have had a great professional experience at some point in your life, and while you're talking about your past, you may feel some negativity about it. You want to ensure that no matter what your past has or what your future may bring, you're always speaking about it positively. Speaking too fast. Elevator pitches are great and you can have great content in it, but that won't matter if the people you're speaking to can't understand what you're saying because you're saying it too quickly. The next is coming across rehearsed or monotone. So yes, we are giving you a blueprint. Yes, we do want you to practice and we want you to practice a lot. However, your tone for your elevator pitch should come across conversational enough that it doesn't sound like it's something that you wrote out and you're just reading it back to them. A great way to avoid this is by, instead of writing out exact sentences for what your elevator pitch would be, using bullet points instead, because that way it'll force you to come up with those filler words on the spot, which will keep you from sounding rehearsed. You also want to ensure you have energy. So coming across monotone could end up boring the person you're talking to and they could lose interest. You want to ensure that you're not frowning or that your body language is not non-inviting. This includes facial expressions, and in many cases you want to mirror the body language of the person you're talking to. Using the same version of your pitch regardless to your audience is a huge mistake you could make. Depending on who you're talking to, that person is going to be interested in different pieces of information about you. And depending on who you're talking to and the role that they'll play in your career, you're going to want to tell them different information. Let's take a look at an example of an old elevator pitch and then a new elevator pitch. The original elevator pitch for this person says, "I'm a stay-at-home mom and I've recently started doing web design." With this elevator pitch, we've learned a little bit about her current situation as well as the direction that she's moving in. However, we are missing a lot of context about the value she's able to bring. Let's take a look at the new elevator pitch. "I'm a web designer who's making the internet a more beautiful and positive place. My background in counseling helps me understand what the bloggers and small business owners I work with need. And thanks to working in administration, I'm great at coming up with solutions, no matter what you throw at me." Take a second to review this elevator pitch and reflect on it. What did she do well? What do you feel she could do better? And what stands out to you the most? For the next 5 to 10 minutes, I want you to draft your elevator pitch, specifically considering the parts of an effective pitch we've discussed. Remember, we're not looking for perfection at this point. This is just to get you started moving in that direction. After you've taken 5 to 10 minutes to draft your elevator pitch, I want you to share your pitch with your cohort on Slack to receive initial feedback. Make adjustments based on feedback you get from your cohort, friends, family, and Weekend Coded staff. And lastly, practice, practice, practice. If you need more examples of elevator pitches and how to create your own, we've included a few additional resources to these slides. Click on these links, explore the resources, and always reach out if you have any questions.